people have got it in their heads that Michelle hated me. In the last episode, when we came back, people are like, "Oh, look at how she looked at her when she came out," and I was like, literally her face. Like she just looked at me. They just cut to her. She smiled. Might not have even been for me, but I did need to pee so badly. Like I went to Cheddar. If we get absolutely soaked, I'm just gonna piss myself because no one will know. The guy who was on the show with Geri was like, "There's someone dressed as you at the back," and we could hear it because they're still mic'd up. And she just went, and that was kind of it.
Hello everyone and welcome back for some more freshly brewed drag tea. Today I have with me a fantastic queen who served us campy Geri Halliwell realness when she competed on season 4 of Drag Race UK. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey in drag. We'll of course be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. Please join me in welcoming the always fabulous Just May!
Hi, it's me, Just May from RuPaul's Drag Race UK season 4.
Hi, lovely to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, babe. I'm just casually sitting here waiting to get all of the tea brewed.
Well, let's hope so. That's what my audience are hungry for. They're thirsty for some tea.
Yeah, don't get hungry for tea. It might leave your mouth a bit dry.
Well, it's lovely to see you. And obviously, I did see you quite recently at DragCon, which was lovely. Did. And I got myself a lovely signed print.
Gorgeous. Why is it not in a frame?
The frame is coming, obviously. I'm just waiting.
Oh, it's got to be at the framers for at least 2 to 3 weeks. So it makes sense, yeah. And then it will go pride of place above the toilet.
So I can stare at you, yeah.
I mean, whatever you want to do, that's your call, babe.
No, it was lovely meeting you in person, and it was a lovely opportunity. I mean, I don't know about what were your thoughts on DragCon? Because I assume it was your first DragCon.
It was. I loved it. I thought it was amazing to meet everyone. Considering I was on the show for 22 and a half minutes, I thought that the fact that everyone, well, not everyone, a good amount of people wanted to come and meet me was, amazing. So I just loved meeting everyone. There was a couple of people who I was like, oh, I don't think you know who I am. But the majority of people were great. And there were some people that came back every day, which was amazing. And there were people who walked in, got a picture and left. So they were confused whether it was me or Coppertop. And unfortunately, they still haven't met Coppertop.
That's so funny. I guess copper, because it's like copper and you wear a lot of red head. So I guess maybe that's what. It is funny when people say like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of you," and then they get your name wrong.
I'm a massive fan of you, Ginger Top. Yeah.
Well, hopefully everyone watching this interview does know who you are.
And at least Pepper knew who I was when I left.
I am really gonna miss Ginger. And Ginger? I think she...
Coppertop.
Oh God, she really did fade into the background.
Goodbye, Ginger.
That's true.
Which, is more than could be said for Copper.
Oh, bless Coppertop. Yeah, it was funny when Pepper got her name wrong, but I did feel bad for her. I was like, oh God.
It's fine. We all know the situation, and at that point I don't know, I never did that bit, but you're heavily sleep deprived, so it's just what's that one called? Brie. Yeah. Bye Brie pretty.
No, I can only imagine. Well, so speaking of Drag Race, I think that's what we're all going to know you best for from season 4. Before we get into the Drag Race side of it, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your background of like how you got started in drag and the evolution of your name as well.
Well, we'll start with my background. what you'll see is some lovely pictures, all hung symmetrically along a wall. But no, my background is mainly in clubs. Like, I'm just a big old cross-dresser in a wig in most places around East London. I've been doing it for years. Me and John Biz said on the show how long we'd known each other, which I think is actually around 10 years. So yeah, we've been in each other's pockets for that long. Lots of clubs with John Biz. We started together in Sink the Pink in 1942, and ever since then, from bar to bar, from club to club, and our wigs have got better and her makeup has stayed the same.
Oh, that's really funny. I think when you talked about you and Jombers, I feel like on the show, I think you did mention it briefly, but I don't think there was we never probably didn't even really realize that you really know Jombers that well, like that you had this big like background with Jombers specifically. Did you have a background with any of the other queens? Like, did you know any of them?
LaPhil as well. Because obviously the three of us have all done Sink the Pink for so long. Phil joined maybe pandemic years, so you kind of cut out like three, I don't know, like maybe 7 years ago. And then I knew Baby, I knew Cheddar, I knew most people. Let's put it at that. There was only a few that I didn't know. So I didn't know Starla, I didn't know Sminty, I didn't know Dakota. And I still don't. I'm looking forward to meeting them one day soon. But yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Well, that's cool. That's interesting to know, because I guess a lot of time on the show, we don't get to necessarily hear about the backstories of people unless it's something that's going to affect you in Drag Race, like a relationship or something. We don't tend to really hear about.
Me and John have not had sex.
Oh, I mean, that was going to be my next question. I thought that was going to be my exclusive.
Me and LaPhil have had sex. We're currently having sex.
I thought you had a smile on your face,
It's painted on, but Say hi, Phil.
And so the name Just May, where does that come from?
So it's actually really boring. My surname is actually May. And I entered a competition once, and my drag name used to be May, like literally just May. And the host knew me, but knew me from my boy name, and was like, "Oh, what's your name? What's your name?" And I was like, "May, just May." And then he went, "It's just May," and that's how it happened. So it's honestly a very boring name. And my favorite thing was when we all came out, Reddit was like, "Oh my god, I finally get her name. It's hilarious. It's like just me, but in like an Essex accent." And it's really not. I'm not that inventive.
No, I mean, that's a fun story that kind of you didn't mean for it. You just said, "Oh, just May," but that's now become your name. Like, that's kind of funny. I think I did a video on my channel before, when the season 4 cast was rumored, before it got announced. And so I researched all of you from your Instagrams before you were sort of announced. And I found that story on an article. You talked about it somewhere. And I thought that was just a really cool, like an accident, but then it kind of worked and you've just run with it ever since.
Yeah, it was just because the night that I entered it was a competition called Lip Sync 1000 at the Glory in London. And this was back when I used to pretend to lip sync. And I entered it. That happened, and then what it was that like Jombers and a few of our other friends were there, and then when I got off stage, they were like, "Oh, Just May is born," and I was like, "Oh, fine, I'll stick with it." And then for years, they all called me my actual name anyway, even in drag. They'd be like, "And welcome to the stage," and then they'd say my real name.
Right. Well, I guess it's nice that you've got, I guess, part of your real name sort of as your drag name is sort of like, there's a separation, but it's a part of you, because obviously you are the same person, but
just with less birthmark.
more fabulous, like, you know, the hair and everything. I think, you know, giving
I
some.
mean, this is just my back hair combed up.
Well, one thing I would think we'd love to talk about though is get into obviously what we know you for best, and that's Drag Race. So I was wondering if you could sort of talk a bit about what the audition process was like and whether you would audition for the previous seasons.
I did. I auditioned for 2, 3, and 4. I did do the application for season 1, but the application for it was through some like casting agent called Talk or something like that, whatever. But I really messed it up. Don't know what I did, and I don't think I activated the account, and then didn't get any further. 2, yeah, did that one, and then 3, my audition was so bad. And then 4, I was like, do you know what? I'm busy. Oh, I'm just gonna literally do it while I'm in drag. Boo boo boo. Hi, I'm Just May. Blah 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 blah. Boo boo boo. And then got on. Like I literally shot it in like 2 days, edited it in a day, and then sent it off. And it honestly, it was whenever people ask me what to do for a drag race audition tape, I'm like, don't care. And I'm not saying I don't care. I mean, do not care about what you do, because at that point you're being your most authentic, and you're like, hi, this is me. What more do you want? And that's kind of how it happened. I think I was just the most relaxed I'd been in a video, because I watched all of them back, and it was just some of them were excruciating.
I've heard that from lots of people, that you have to be your authentic self, and it's when you're not trying too hard is when you're being yourself, and that's what they want to see, because they can tell if you're too rehearsed or whatever. One thing I want to ask about was, obviously, you know, you talk about sort of being the leading Geri Halliwell impersonator in drag or whatever.
World's premiere Geri Halliwell impersonator.
Premier, sorry. Was that something that you had from the start of your drag, or was that something that developed? Did you do non-Geri drag?
There wasn't long between. It was that I always wore red hair, and it just kind of evolved from that. I did a Spice Girls number. I think it was actually the same night that I got called Just May. They were both the same night, and I did like this really badly put together Spice Girls mix. It was like Wannabe, Goodbye, and I don't know, like something else. And like literally it was like I got the tapes and sellotaped it together where I had cut it. It was that bad. And I didn't win that competition either. But I did it, and I don't know, there was something about doing a Geri look, and I was like, I love this because it's red, the hair is red, it's something I know about, it's something that I'm comfortable with, and I'm also very much a creature of habit. So if you give me 2 years of songs that I can only really lip sync or sing, then I'm like, great, I already know the song, so I don't have to do much work here.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, what I guess the thing that I thought was quite interesting was we haven't had that many people that sort of talk about being an impersonator. One of the only people that really you can think of is Derek Barry from the US season, that was a Britney impersonator, and then Chad was a Cher impersonator. So I was wondering, obviously, unfortunately, we didn't get to see much of you on the show, but was Geri something that you planned on doing the whole time on Drag Race?
Well, I call myself the world's premier Geri Halliwell impersonator, but I'm not an impersonator. Like, I don't pretend to be her, and I don't necessarily do anything that she would do. I just base a lot of my looks around like the 90s and her. I mainly would do Spice Girl numbers, and I always wear this hair color. And that is how I equate world's premiere Geraldine Bernadette so Halliwell impersonator. So just like a lot of things in my life, I've kind of fraudulated that as well, because not only do I look just like her, but I sound like her too.
Well, you got to play to your strengths, I suppose.
It's uncanny. You would think that you're talking to Geri Halliwell right now. The makeup, the hair, it's exactly the same.
But what I think we were robbed of is seeing you do a Spice Girls number with Geri Halliwell being one of the judges, like it won a previous season.
Look, I'm friends with Crystal, and I said when she came off and season 1 happened, I was like, "What was it like? Tell me everything." And she was like, she was there. She was there, and I was like, "Okay, cool. That's great. We'll leave it at that."
Yeah, well, I think in that particular, if memory serves me correctly, because Crystal was in that kind of like quite weird with the mouth stretcher and everything. I think Geri found it quite sort of like a bit gruesome or a bit too much horror, and she was kind of a bit weirded out by it.
I mean, look, let me tell you this. She's ignored my existence for the last 8+ years. So, I mean, maybe she doesn't like anything too close to the bone because I just look just like her.
Well, that was actually going to be one of my questions. And actually, so a few people in my subscriber questions asked, have you ever met Geri or any of the Spice Girls?
I have. I've met a few of the Spice Girls. I've worked with 3 of them. I did a party for Victoria once with a little Spice Girls troupe that we had, which featured Astina from season 2. I did a party with Jombers that Emma was at, and we have worked with Melanie C like countless times now, and yeah, good close personal friends with Melanie C.
That's fun. Like, I mean, I guess it's funny that you've pretty much met all of them apart from the one that you kind of like impersonate, if we call it.
Well, I did once. Me and LaPhil went to a taping of Room 101, which is like a BBC TV show for anyone that doesn't know what it is. And I went in drag. Obviously, no one else did. But when they saw us, they stuck us right at the back because they were like, "Yeah, you're not getting on screen." And halfway through, they were like on a down moment to like touch up makeup and everything. And the guy who was on the show with Geri was like, "There's someone dressed as you at the back," and we could hear it because they're still mic'd up. And she just went, and that was kind of it. Yeah, but that was at peak crazy Geri fandom because I made a film about her at that point. It was called Just Made Us Geri. And I went to Watford and I like kind of went around where she would have grown up, and I, through research of her book and some TV shows that she'd done, I found her childhood house and went and filmed in front of it. I didn't go inside or knock on the door. It wasn't that stalkery. But yeah, I made a film all about the life and times of Geri Halliwell.
So basically,
which I have seen taken off YouTube because I don't want to be sued for anything.
So what I'm hearing is basically she is going to get a restraining order against you.
Babe, she's already got it. She's already got it. I'm waiting for the restraining order so I can put it up on this wall.
Well, I think so talking of Geri, obviously, I think one of the parts I thought was quite funny in a way, and it kind of felt like it was made for you almost, was so you walk in, you do your introduction, everything, and your first mini challenge is the standing on the taxi like they did at Spice Girls for the Olympics. What was that like then? Did you sort of, because I assume when you saw that, you must have thought, oh my God, this is exactly the kind of thing with Geri and everything.
I mean, well, when they said it, I can't remember if it was on the show because honestly, I've not watched the entirety of the first episode yet. But when Rue said that was going to happen, everyone looked at me and then he looked over at me and went, "Yes." And I was like, "Oh, it's a lot of pressure for someone that hates photos." Boop. But also afterwards, I was like, they did me dirty because they chose such an awful picture. Because you're in there for a good, like, I don't know, maybe about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. And like, you do all the poses, you do it dry, you do it wet. And they just, I don't know, I think they got me to do scream if you want to go faster. And that's literally what I'm saying. And that's the picture that they used.
That was going to be my question, actually, was kind of, I was thinking how long, because you only get obviously shown for a few seconds each person, but how long were you actually filming it for? And what was it like meeting Rue? Because that was probably your first proper interaction with them.
Yeah, so that was our first one-to-one. And I mean, we were great, like lovely time. Went in, a little bit of banter, few like, as soon as you go in, you're being filmed. So like you don't get that like this is what's gonna happen. So you go in, go up the stairs, the door, because I think Pepper was just before me. Pepper just before me? Yeah, because we did it in order that we went in. And I think Pepper went in one person before me. But anyway, I opened the gate, and because Pepper had been climbing on it, the gate was like rickety. It was like, and they were like, do not climb on it. It is not secure. And then we all saw Pepper's, and I was like, that's why it's not secure, because this broke it. But we knew that we had an inkling that we were going to get wet or dirty, because it was kind of vaguely briefed to us, which is why I chose the outfit that I did, because I was like, if it gets wet, it's not ruined, but I did need to pee so badly, because at that point I think we've been filming for like maybe 8 hours. I think it was like mid-afternoon. And I couldn't get out of that because the zip was quite flimsy, and I thought, if I unzip this and it busts, I'm literally up the creek. I'm swearing a lot. Is that all right? Fine.
I'll bleep it out.
Fine. So yeah, I was like, I can't pee, because if I do, it's gonna bust the zip. And me and Cheddar were like so tired. We were like the old nanas in the dressing room, like, can we get coffee? And then I thought, I can't have coffee, because if I have coffee, I'm going to need to pee even more. And then we realized that we were getting wet, like actually wet. And I was like, I went to Cheddar, if we get absolutely soaked, I'm just going to piss myself, because no one will know. And then when it happened, it was literally like a tiddle of water on our backs to make us look wet, but not really get us wet. And I was like, I still need to pee so badly. And I didn't get out of drag for maybe another 3-4 hours. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, did you pee yourself in the end, or
I didn't. I did not pee on TV. That I can officially say that here.
Well, that's interesting to hear, and it's interesting, like, when they do that, because the water thing was quite, because they haven't done that for a while on the seasons. I feel like that was one of the first times we've done, like, they've done water and getting you wet. Like, they used to do that in the old seasons, but not so much in the new ones. So I thought it was quite cool they were doing something a bit different, not just a generic photo.
You weren't the one getting wet.
I did feel bad. I was like, oh, that's not great if you're wearing lots of makeup. Speaking of getting wet, that's a weird transition, but an
exciting one though.
I watched an interview with you where you said that when you walked into the workroom, the reason you had your hand in a weird place was because you had got something on your hand that was wet, so you had to cover it up. I was wondering if you could talk about that.
So when we were all going in, I was about halfway through, and they had to reshoot the lights or something they had to do something with the lights. And, the whole thing is made of paper and sticky back plastic. So you can hear everything. Wendy, one of the Queen team, was walking me through, and I was like so nervous, and she was like, do you recognize any voices? And I went, oh, there's an Irish voice. I wonder who it could be. And then we get to the door, I was standing just left of it, so you can't see me on camera. So the bit where we literally walked through, and I could see John Bez, and we were looking at each other like, "You're right, yeah, I'm right." And while we're doing that, one of the producers came over, and they were like, "Oh, really sorry, we're just blah 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 blah," and he like nicked a little biro on my mesh panel on my stomach, and we then had to try and get it off really quickly. And it left like a tiny little watermark, and that's why I was like, and now I wish in hindsight that I would have just walked in normally, because now all I see on it is me like because it's in such a weird place, and I thought, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then if you watch it, every shot of me, I'm standing with my hand in like such a weird place, because I was like, it looks like I've got appendicitis or something. I'm like, oh, maybe that's why they sent me home first. They were worried about my health.
Well, I'll be honest, when I didn't actually notice it, honestly, until you mentioned it in that interview, when I then rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, that is a bit of a weird placement. But I actually don't think I noticed it that much, because I was so more just looking at you as sort of like the whole outfit and thinking, oh, that's Geri. So I think I was actually more distracted by that than the hand. So I think you got away with it.
Thanks. I've just outed myself.
Well, so obviously you did. So we did that. We talked about the mini challenge. So the main challenge for that first week was the dual runway. So it was, the first one was like in honor of the BBC, and then the second one was Who Are You, talking about who are you, had to sort of show who you are. So for your first look, the BBC one, you did the bust of the Queen Victoria, which is, for anyone in the international listens, there's a soap opera called EastEnders, and there's a pub in the show, and you are the statue that sits in the pub, and it's quite like an iconic, famous thing from the show.
It's killed many people.
That's true. They've been used, like they've hit people in the show. I thought that was really cool. Like when you came out, I was like, oh, that is so random. I never would have thought to do that, but it was cool. What did you sort of tell me about your process of how you came to that idea?
Well, that was actually my second choice, because for copyright reasons, we had to send what we were going to do. And I originally said Mr. Blobby, and then we got an email saying, hi, there's been a number of Mr. Blobbies chosen. Does anyone want to change? You can all keep it, or you now have the option to change it. And I was like, my Blobby hasn't been made yet, so I could go back and change it. All right, I'm going to change it. And I love EastEnders, I always have. And I thought, do you know what? I'll either do Dot Cotton or I'll do the Queen Vic bust. And I was tossing between the two, and then I just went with the Queen Vic bust. And I worked out a way to do it, and like we had everything sorted. And it was just that when it got to the bottom half, we kind of clearly ran out of time. Because, you know, that look is like all threesomes. It was a great top and a sloppy bottom.
That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, no, so what I'll say is, when I saw it, I think it was like, I think Graham may have said it, I actually thought it was a really cool concept. Maybe the execution wasn't quite there, and it was when you got to the bottom half of it, you were like, yeah, okay. Or when you turned around, you did look a bit pregnant because of the way it was sort of the shelf and everything. But I actually thought it was really cool. I thought it was camp and funny, and like it was better than being a third Mr. Blobby, probably. So
yeah. I mean, my Mr. Blobby idea was like, I'm fashion. Oh, I'm going to be, fashion. And then I was like, I'm not fashion. I'm literally a pig in a wig. So, do you know what? Let's just do that. So that's what I went with. And I was like, I want to wear the Queen Vic again. It is one, it's very hard to get into because of the bar, and two, like the makeup is not the most flattering, so it's just like, you know, I've got to work out a way to make it work in the future. But it was a it was an expensive costume. I want to wear it again.
Yeah, I thought it was actually quite funny, and like I think on Drag Race, because we're so used to seeing these like amazing sort of handmade expensive garments, I think, but in like a club or whatever, that outfit would be amazing and like the audience would love it. It was so funny. But
Yeah.
I think on TV, because they zoom out and everything, you can see every single detail. It sometimes doesn't. Yeah.
And also, like, you know, you can tell from my pictures that, you know, the top half, which is really what the focus point of it is, because it's a bust, is great. Like, the top half, the detail on it is pretty much exactly what the Queen Vic has. So I'm super proud of it. But it is, you know, if I ever went back and got a redemption, that would be the one that I'd go for, because I've got no others to do.
But that's it. So there was also this. So that leads on to the set. So the second outfit was "Who are you?" So sort of talking about who you are, and so you just wore your face, which I thought was quite funny.
And I still am.
Yeah, that one. So I was wondering, sort of, was that always your idea, or was that maybe a second? Because you said that your Queen Victoria was your second idea. Did you have any other ideas for your "Who are you?"
No, that one was my first idea. Because I was like, well, who am I is just May, but let's make that with a nod to Geri. So that's why it was the red, white, and blue. And obviously the Geri hair. And then I wanted to do, so like, I can't think what his name is. Patrick Wilson, who does the cartoon drawings from New York, and Amanda Lepore wears them all the time. And like, I had recently, before we got the call for Drag Race, done shows with Amanda, and I really loved that silhouette, because, like, you know, she is like 5 foot nothing, but her proportions are like big bust, big hips, small waist, which is kind of what I go for. And that kind of dress shape was what I wanted to do. So that's why I went with it. And I was like, I had that drawing done by a friend of mine, Tom Taylor, and it was something that I loved, and I was using it on like stickers and things like that at like pub quizzes and whatnot as prizes. And I just thought, hey, I'm going to incorporate all of these things that I already have and make it into a dress. And I never wore breastplates before Drag Race, and I don't wear breastplates now because they are awkward and uncomfortable, and I'm just annoyed that I wear a breastplate so much on Drag Race.
Well, I actually thought the outfit, it was simple, but I thought it was effective, and it was cool that it was your face, and I thought it actually looked quite cool and quite fashion, and I think it did kind of tell a story. So I actually enjoyed the look, to be honest. Obviously, unfortunately, as we know, you fell in the bottom that week. Were you expecting to be in the bottom with all after the judges' critiques?
Do you know what? I went on to Drag Race for a good time, not a long time. I knew as soon as I got on that I would be leaving on the sewing challenge anyway. So I was like, well, I'm going on week 3. So when they called us forward, I was like, I think I'm bottom safe. And then obviously our critiques were kind of alluding. Our critiques were alluding to the fact that I would be bottom safe. And then, because also there were bits of it that you didn't see, like I had banter with Rue and Michelle, and we were chatting about the dress. Like, he said that the Rue Are You dress was like, he was like, it's a lovely dress. Like, you'd look great in a club with this. You look like you must work in clubs all the time. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's how I make a living. And he was like, yeah, it would be great in a club. It's just, we wanted more here. And I was like, fine, cool. This is what you got right now, though. And then, yeah, so I thought I was going to be bottom safe. And then in the workroom for Untucked, I was like, yeah, I'm bottom safe. Or they're gonna do it. In my head, I was like, it's either gonna be me and Copper because they're gonna do gingers versus gingers, or it's gonna be me, or it's gonna be Copper and Dakota. It's not gonna be me and Dakota. That one is not gonna happen. Like, neither of us were bad enough. Do you know what I mean? I thought it's either gonna be me or Dakota that's safe, and then it was Copper that was safe, and I was like, I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be me and you lip syncing. But yeah, so that happened.
Yeah, no, I guess from the edit, maybe it was they were kind of making it obvious who was going to be in the bottom, who at the top. I guess between the three of you, Copper, you, and Dakota, I guess I wasn't 100% sure. So when you found out it was you and Dakota, did you think that you would be going home then?
Oh, absolutely, because I can't lip sync for. And that morning on the bus, I'd already said to Pixie, I was like, God, I hope I don't lip sync because I don't know the second verse of this song. And they were like, listen to it. And I was like, yeah, but even if I listen to it all day, I'm just going to make myself learn it. And then I'm not going to really learn it. So when we had to do like the in the mirror standing there listening to it, I'm like, because I have no clue. And my favorite bit was after Phil was eliminated, we went for lunch and he was like, why did you keep turning around in the second verse and looking at me? I was like, because I didn't know the words. Although I have watched the lip sync and they didn't show that I didn't know the words. So I messaged the producers and I said, thank you.
That's like, I was actually going to say that I didn't, from the edit, it didn't look like you didn't know the lyrics. Like, I don't think I wouldn't have known that. So I think maybe you did get a favorable edit because they could have, I guess, shown you not knowing the lyrics and then.
Well, it wasn't that I didn't know the lyrics. It was that, like, the second verse is very repetitive and it was like, blonde, hair, I still don't know the song now. And the best bit is maybe a year before that at Mighty Hoopla, me and Jombers were at the side of the stage watching Mabel because she was doing the Sink the Pink set. And I went to Jombers, I was like, who's this? And Jombers was like, oh, it's Mabel. She's all right. And I was like, never heard of her. Won't ever listen to her. And then look what happened.
I guess it was the universe saying, like, getting karma back on you.
It was karma. Always listen to unknown pop stars when you see them for the first time.
No, but yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think I'd heard of the song, or maybe I knew it a bit, but it wasn't a song where I was like, oh, I definitely know this. But I think
but everyone plays it now, don't they? So
it is a good song. I've listened to it.
Oh, it's a fine song.
So, unfortunately, you were told to sashay away. Did you agree with all of the critiques that you got? Was there anything that maybe they said to you that wasn't shown or something? Or maybe was there a part that you just actually disagreed? Because I remember, was it Joanna Lumley said that your eye makeup looked too much and like stuff? Did you agree with that?
I mean, look, she wanted like pretty. I just want you to be beautiful. Swim with dolphins. But yeah, she kind of said that in like she didn't quite understand the makeup sense. And also, like, after she said it, I went, babe, I'm wearing this much makeup because I look like a ball bag without it. And they all laughed when I said that. So yeah, this is why I wear this much makeup, because without it, I look like a ball bag.
What conjures up such lovely images?
I know, but not anymore. Thank you, Dr. Motox. But you know, it is what it is. Like, I wasn't offended by any of it. I wasn't even offended about getting sent home first. I was like, oh, well, I mean, getting sent home first is more iconic than getting sent home another time. I was going to say a time, but if I say it, it will be offensive to someone.
being first out is memorable because I've interviewed other pork chops, if you can call it that, and they've said that getting first out, because most people, if they're going to watch the season, will watch the first episode, so they'll remember you. Whereas someone who leaves in like second, third, fourth, they're probably not as, because you weren't there enough to form an impression, but it wasn't the first, so you don't remember it. So I guess going first maybe was, a good thing in some ways.
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with it. And if they want to call me and put me on a pork chop season, I'm happy to do it.
Questions, actually, some people wanted to ask, would you ever go back for another season, whether it was All Stars or an all first out season?
I would go back tomorrow. But I would say, are you going to make me leave first again? Because if you are, can I just know the first runway so that I don't spend so much money?
That would be great if you knew that in advance.
I said to the producers, I was like, I'll be the GGB of leaving first. You put me on 92 seasons and I'll leave first on every one. Just don't let me buy 12 outfits for each season.
It's true. I always think that when someone leaves first, it's really disappointing because you think, well, I'm sure they had some amazing outfits they didn't get to show.
I had some mediocre outfits.
Was there an outfit that you really wanted to show that you didn't get to?
My favourite was musicals. I loved my musicals outfit. I did like a kind of Edna Turnblad look. I was even going to wear brown hair. I know, wild. Go to Instagram, there's a picture of me doing it. But yeah, that one was the one I was most excited about. Also, ruffles, I was going to do a poodle. And I was quite excited about that because I did quite like the outfit. And it's such a hard outfit to find a time to wear it, like just to a gig.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing I always think about on Drag Race is you get these outfits and some of them are quite unusual categories. And I think, I wonder where they're going to use them outside of Drag Race because some of them are just so elaborate. They look great on camera, but then I'm not sure.
Well, like my one for the hair challenge is I have hair on the cuffs and hair on the skirt, and then I have a merkin. And it's like, it's great, but if I wear that to a club, the likelihood is I'm going to get like, someone's going to spill a drink in the hair, and then I'm going to have like puby sleeves.
Puby sleeves, that would be a great drag name.
Yeah, welcome to the stage, puby sleeves.
Well, it's something to consider, but I'm glad that you've sort of got
the name change.
I'm glad that you can like have those outfits to take with you, and like, unfortunately you didn't get to show them, but let's hope that we can see your PB sleeves another time. So obviously, unfortunately, you left that episode, so we didn't get to see much of you. So I was wondering, the name of my channel is Drag Tea Served. So I was wondering if you could serve us some drag tea from your unfortunately short time on the show, and maybe tell us something that didn't get shown that you wish had been, or like a backstage moment that was funny.
It's hard because I was only there 22 minutes. Well, the bit where people have got it in their heads that Michelle hated me, because in the first episode they showed that bit where me and Rue were talking about Stratford Mall.
Where are you from?
Originally from Essex, but now I'm in East London.
You're in East London. Is that where Stratford Mall is?
I'm very close to it.
I love that mall.
Yeah, I used to work there.
Really? At one of the makeup shops?
No, obviously.
And he said, oh, that's my favourite mall. Did you work in a makeup shop? And then Michelle said, clearly not. But that was actually just after Joanna had said that thing about my makeup, and I said I look like a ball bag. And I think I said something about only doing one face. Do you know what I mean? Like, I made a joke. And so Michelle was like doing a comeback to the joke. And then in the last episode, when we came back, people are like, "Ooh, look at how she looked at her when she came out," and I was like, literally her face. Like she just looked at me. They just cut to her. She smiled. Might not have even been for me. Um, um, oh, so every when I did the when you come back in after you've been eliminated, I was like, we went to go back in. I filmed the bit where you walk in, and then they realized that the lighting was wrong, and they had to do that again. This happened to me like every time I had to go in the workroom. So we had to refilm that twice, I think, and each time I had to be like, "Ooh, this is the first time I've done this." Ooh. But deep down inside, I'm like, I hate everyone in this room. And then obviously you have to do your lipstick message. And that's my biggest regret from the show, is not taking the lipstick home with me. And then, oh, okay. So when we went back for the reunion show for the final runway, we were all queued up at the back of the stage. The winners went out first. Because we were like chatting over, because I was first in the queue, I was talking to Viv and whatnot, and then they went out and did theirs, and then it was our turn to do it. So they replay the song, because they play, what song is it they play?
Bring Back My Girls.
It is, but it's a club version.
Bring back my girls. Bring back my girls.
And it's actually quite a good version. Because River posted it on her page, on her Twitter page the other day, and I was like, oh my God, this is such PTSD. But anyway, so I went out, you know, just me. And I'm like, ooh, I'm going to toddle off to my place now. And then they paused it, the music stopped. Everyone looked at me and I was like, what have I done? And then the director came over and went, hi, Han, that was great, but we need you to do it for longer. And I was like, oops. So I just went over the whole of the main stage. I was like, sorry guys, first time doing it, don't know what I'm doing. And just everyone laughed, and I was like, well, that won't get shown, but hey. And then I had to do it again, but awkwardly, Starlet had already queued to come out, and she was wearing that massive layered skirt thing, and everyone was like, she can't move, we are right now. So yeah, took a few minutes to reset.
Well,
is that tea? Is that good?
That's
is that all right?
We didn't know that. Thank you for serving us the tea. That's interesting.
Anytime, I'll tell you about any time that I up on a runway.
Well, it was funny to hear that sort of thing, because obviously you didn't unfortunately get to do many runways, and we didn't and obviously we as the audience don't get to see the production and how it works. So it's funny to hear about an honest mistake, and it was, maybe you were memorable in the room because you made a few funny jokes, even if it didn't get onto camera. At least you know that you showed that you
I'm
were
hilarious.
Well, thank you so much. That was really lovely. I'd love to get onto some subscriber questions.
Sure.
So I had lots of questions for you. One of the questions was, and you did kind of briefly touch on this earlier, was it expensive getting ready for Drag Race, and did it meet your expectations?
No expectations were met, and it cost me £12.50.
That's an interesting £12.50.
Yeah, it's why the Queen Vic was a great top and a sloppy bottom.
And I guess maybe this question in the wider sense is like, maybe do you think that even though you were only there for one episode, has Drag Race kind of changed your life?
I mean, I think you get out of it what you put in, and I don't mean literal time. I mean, if you want to get something out of it, then you'll get something out of it. And I'm a workhorse, and I'm like I have an unhealthy obsession with working. So whatever happened, I was going to make work for myself one way or another. So yeah, I think you kind of get out what you put in. Like a good threesome.
That's very true. Well, I'm glad that you've had that, and I guess it's given you a platform that you wouldn't necessarily have had otherwise. So, you know, someone asked, which challenge were you excited about that you didn't get to do, and which challenge would you have done well in?
I said this in other podcasts. I left exactly when I should have left. And we'll leave it at that. No, I did really want to do the girl band challenge. And we had heard the song when we got to the hotel, when we got like sequestered. We were given the iPod with all the lip sync songs. There were some RuPaul songs on it, and there was a song that we were told nothing about. And it was the Glastonbury song. But it was because they don't just leave the music where you would do it. They put like some weird kind of gibberish singer over the top, so it was like it's like they've got someone to sing and then recorded it backwards and put it to the medley. And then when we had a call with the producers, I was like, am I really stupid? Should I be learning the lyrics to this song? Because I don't know what they're saying. And he was like, you just need to be learning the lyrics to the chorus. Yeah, you won't understand any of the rest of it. And I was like, great, thank you for clearing that up. There you go, there's tea.
There you go, a tea, and you answer their question. And no, it's interesting to hear that, because I always wonder how they do that, because obviously there's the gaps where you do your own.
But it's literally a continuous, some random person just going.
Well, that's interesting to know, but yeah, glad that you didn't try and learn it. I mean, it would have been easy to learn, I suppose.
I literally was like, laying in the bath with this iPod in, just like other MP3 devices are available. But I was like, God, I really hope I don't get this one.
Well, yeah, I guess we were sad that we didn't get to see you for the girl group challenge, because I think, you know, it would have maybe worked if you'd been the Geri of the group as well, and then you could have just left. So.
I could have done two lines and then gone.
Another question was, so I had a question on Twitter from someone who you may have heard of called Pixie Polite.
I hate her.
And she said, who is your favorite new sister? And then someone else underneath, you may have heard of, called Cheddar Gorgeous, said, and why is it Cheddar Gorgeous?
Well, my favourite new sister is maybe Cheddar's partner, James, because he's come and bought lots of merch from me. Hi, James. Who also featured on the show, so technically it's true.
He did, yeah.
And Jomba's brother. They are my two new favourite siblings.
Oh yeah, everyone was thirsting after Jomba's brother. I remember that.
I mean, I was next to Jomba's brother on the booth. And he also bought some of my merch. So, you know, I'm not saying anything.
So obviously we know you said before that you were close to Jomba's before the show. Was there anyone on the show?
Had I ever met the brother? No, never.
No, I was going to ask, was there someone on the show who you got close to during I know you weren't there for very long, but did you get close to anyone other than Jomba's during filming that maybe they didn't show?
I did with, God, it was so long ago now. I spoke to pretty much everyone while I was there. The only people I didn't speak to were, I think, Starlet I didn't speak to on the show, and not, do you know what I mean? Like, hello, how are you? And then, yeah, Dakota I didn't really speak to until obviously we were both in the bottom two. But also there's I am a 59-year-old woman, so there is a massive age gap between me and them. Yeah, I think I spoke to pretty much everyone. Me and Cheddar have said, like, it was a shame that we didn't speak on the show more, because we get on so well now, and like whenever Cheddar's in London, we always go for something to eat, or like if I'm in Manchester and vice versa, and blah 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 blah. So we just kind of, you got to make it work. However, but yeah, I speak to most people, and like I would say I'm closest with Jombas and Phil, and yeah, Pixie and I speak all the time. Cheddar, Copper, other drag queens from the TV show RuPaul's Drag Race. I speak to all of them.
Well, that's nice that you've got like a sisterhood and you talk, and even though you were only there for one episode, it's nice that you got to meet some people who you didn't know from before as well. So that's
it was like a very expensive meet and greet for me.
That's true. Yeah, maybe it was worth it, I suppose.
I mean, I didn't really leave with much merch.
And someone asked, who would you have done if you had made it to Snatch Game?
I was going to do Anne Robinson. And then after we left, I got drunk, and it was at the final Sink the Pink, and Rylan was there, and, everyone knew at that point. And he was like, "Oh, babe, who was your Snatch Game going to be? Was it going to be G?" And I was like, "No, it's going to be you." And he was like my third choice. So I then had to take a photo of me doing Rylan when it was Snatch Game, and I was like, I was not prepared to do this. The teeth that I bought do not stay in my mouth. The wig was my punk wig that I like brushed out and smoothed. It was a hodgepodge, and also because I had just shot Anne Robinson before, I was freshly shaved, so like the beard was literally me with a mascara, like boop, 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 boop. Yeah, it was a hot sticky mess.
Well, that's fun though, that you got to meet the people that you were going to impersonate and everything. Well, Rylan, at least, who's like he's a character and everything. So that's really funny that you got to sort of do that, even if it wasn't what you wished it had been. It's kind of given you this experience that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So
yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I'd love to get on to my quick fire round of questions. So it's
Fine,
just five quick questions. Some are drag related, some are not, and it's just sort of like quick fire, first answer that comes to your head. So, lipstick or lip gloss?
Stick.
Yes or no, pineapple on pizza?
No. I used to run a pizza restaurant. No.
Favorite emoji?
Either or.
Cocktail or champagne?
Cocktail.
And can you summarize your Drag Race experience in one word?
Short.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely getting to speak to you, and I'm sure it's been great to hear, people got to hear a bit more about you. Speaking of that, if people do want to sort of find more about you, where can people find you online, like social media? Do you have any projects that you want to talk about?
You can find me on all good social medias at Just May Does. That's just like only May like month and does like anything for a tenner. You can go to my website, Just May Does, to find out where I am. I'm all over the country between now and March, and then we go on the tour. So if you want to get tickets to that, go over to Boss Events and get your tickets for that, wherever, I don't know where the you live, wherever you live. And get people to book me, because I will be places and I'll go almost anywhere except for no, I'll go anywhere. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being lovely speaking to you. And let's just hope there maybe is like an all pork chop season and we get to see some more Just May.
You know what? As a vegetarian, I really hope not.
Well, let's hope that it's a Just May season, and just maybe you'll be on Drag Race again.
Hey, if it's a Just May season, then look out for those 22 minutes of TV gold coming your way soon.
Well, thank you so much. And this was definitely more than 22 minutes of gold. So thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me. And, like and subscribe. And all of that stuff.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Get